Hi traders, welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, 𝖢𝖥𝖣yi, Senior Market Analyst. In this video, I'm going to take for the week ahead. We're going to check out the news coming up for this week, and we're also going to check out some charts of potential interest. So looking at the high impact data this week, we actually do have quite a lot of high impact data, including sort of CPI out of Canada, the UK. We also got some CPI data out of Europe as well, but we do kick off the week with this CPI data out of Canada. Month on month CPI is actually forecast to come in a little bit lower, so we're expecting a drop from 0.1% to minus 0.3%. That could back up the potential for the Bank of Canada to cut rates this year. So the Bank of Canada expected to be one of those central banks that do cut interest rates, and the CPI coming down could affect that. CPI year on year, however, expected to kind of stay neutral around about 3.4%. You know, we would need to see a bit of a drop here to kind of continue to fuel that sort of method by the Bank of Canada. We've then got a Bank of England Governor Bailey speech that comes ahead of the UK CPI year on year, which is expected to come down from 3.9% to 3.8%, as well as retail sales towards the end of the week, which is actually expected to fall from 1.3% down to minus 0.5% there. We also have some data out of China this week. Industrial production expected to come in a little bit higher, and we have US core retail sales. US core retail sales expected to stay the same, 0.2%, and retail sales month to month expected to slightly increase to 0.4%. Going over to the strength meter then, any big changes? Well, the yen is definitely the biggest change. We came into that reversal level at the +7, and you can see we are now at -7. So again, back in that reversal zone. So are we going to get yen strength come back into the market now, or are we going to see this weakness continue? So my main focus is going to be the Japanese yen going into this week. We can see that the US dollar is at -6, climbed to -5. Had a bit of a mixed week, the US dollar last week, but we are seeing some underlying potential strength there. So I'll be looking at the potential for the US dollar as well. The only other currency that really kind of comes to mind is CAD. It has seen an increase to +3. However, if that CPI does fall, then that could be a sign that the market is going to potentially weaken again going into this week. So let's take a look at the US dollar index. This was the price action of last week. We kind of stayed between the highs around about 102.75. We kind of reached a high just above 103, but we're in that sort of 102.75 down towards the 102.05 support, just down through here. The market fairly range bound here. I think we need to see a breakout to kind of give us a direction on what we could do next here across the basket of currencies. I think if we breach 102.75, then we could come back up towards the 103.50 level. We breach to the downside, we're coming back towards those 101s, which we ended the sort of 2024 year on. So it's going to be interesting to see how the US dollar plays out this week. If we're kind of looking at it on the bigger sort of picture, you could argue that there is a sort of head and shoulders pattern developing here, where we've got the left shoulder, the head, right shoulder. If you look at patterns like that, then it could suggest a break of 102.75 could lead to a bit of a move back to the upside for the US dollar index. Moving on to the dollar yen then. So this is going to be a very interesting market to watch going into this week. Is the yen going to continue to weaken, or are we going to see a little bit of reversal coming back into the markets? We came up into the 146.25 handle. This was sort of targets for us last week. We were looking and we discussed potential buying coming back in at 143.75. We saw that. We saw a move up to 146.25, so we've seen a rejection now. Are we going to see a move back up into that level if that yen weakness is going to remain? If it does, do we breach 146.25, move up to a sort of the 148s? If not, could we see a sort of continuation to the downside and a break of potentially 143.75 support? So a couple of things to just keep your eyes on there this week. Going on to euro yen then. So euro's gained a little bit of strength, and we've seen the yen obviously weaken. That has caused the yen to kind of make this new higher high, or euro yen to make this new higher high here, just above that sort of 158 handle where we had this resistance zone develop. Now price could potentially come back into 158 to then continue to push to the upside if the yen is going to continue to weaken. However, if we do start to see yen strength, then a break below 158, a break below this potential trend line support as well, could signal that this euro yen could continue to push lower, with 154.25 as that support zones. But immediately we've got this 158 level to contend with, almost a bit of a trend support potential coming in at this point in time. Going on to pound yen then. So we were looking at opportunities for pound yen to continue higher last week, basically because price consolidated at this 184 resistance level, and that kind of told us that there was a potential that sellers weren't getting involved in the market here, and then we have seen price rally higher. We did come towards 186 and rejected. We are pulling back a little bit, so maybe this 184 area could act as support going forward if that yen weakness does remain, and a move up to this high volume zone, which we discussed in our live seminars this week. We were looking at potential moves up into those high volume levels. So be interesting to see, can we see pound yen remain above 184 going into this week? Thank you for watching the video update. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.